So, yeah, Thomas already gave a bit of introduction about me, and I work as Director Prevention of Violence and DV Responses within YWCA Canberra, and I've been with YWCA Canberra for more than 7 years now. And in my portfolio, I take care of a lot of training and education on prevention of violence, but I also manage tertiary responses, which is our domestic violence support service, and another new programs called Steps Ahead. And I would be presenting about both the services, our tertiary responses, which is our domestic violence support service, and Steps Ahead. So uh, today, as you would have already read in the communique that I'll be presenting about DV support service, I'll be sort of going through a little bit more details about how does this service operates and what are practice standards, what do we do in this service, what are the types of support that are provided in this service, and how do we help women and children impacted by DV in safety planning. Then I'll go through our new Steps Ahead program. I'll go through how we do risk assessment and safety planning, and I'll kind of go through how does this program presents, what are the issues and barriers through case study, depending on how we are doing with time. And then you all are more than welcome to ask me questions. Okay. So our YWCA domestic uh, violence support service, actually it became operational in 2020. Though YWCA Canberra has been supporting women and children impacted by homelessness and domestic and family violence for a very long time, and most of you would be aware of our housing program, our transitional properties, and you would be aware of our youth programs also. But during COVID time in 2020, we started providing specialized outreach support because of the increase in demand, and from a very small and humble start where we started with just like one staff and then two, and now we are team of about 7 people actually. Two of them are part-time. So it's a free confidential, non judgmental support to women and children impacted by domestic and family violence. And our domestic family violence specialist support. So, how does it look like? What we do is that we provide risk assessment, safety planning, information and advice, domestic violence education, and other wraparound support. So, it's kind of like what we categorize as a planned support. So, we also like to say early intervention, but it doesn't mean that we won't step in if the matters are escalating or if someone has separated. So we support survivors in any stage of their experience. So whether they are still in abusive relationship, whether they don't know whether they want to leave that relationship, if they are planning to leave that relationship, and when they have left the relationship but the safety concern are still present after separating. So we help them in any stage. So these are our service practice standard that also applies to our Steps Ahead program. And so for our service, safety is the priority, and actually safety management is the primary presenting reason for seeking support through our service. So safety is a priority. And for Steps Ahead program, we treat young people as DV victims in their own right. Then violence is not acceptable. We don't try to minimize the violence through our service. This doesn't mean that the violence does not present in the range. Some DV impacted women and children may have low risk, and some families may be experiencing high risk. What this mean, violence is not acceptable, that we don't minimize, but the response may be different, because if people are experiencing higher level of risk, then there is an urgency attached, and the scale of response that is needed may differ a little bit. Then respect, dignity, and sensitivity to all our service user. We try and help empower our service user so that they can make their own choices. We respect their choices, but we also provide a little bit of professional judgment that, professionally, this is our strong recommendation, but of course, the choice lies with them. We maintain a confidentiality and we provide integrated, coordinated, and culturally appropriate support. And for steps ahead, of course, our support is child inclusive and age appropriate. So, the support provided through our service, the first support is whenever service user contact us, and they can contact us directly, or even other agencies can contact on their behalf. We do a risk assessment. So this is a structured part of an intake process, and we do it through a tool. So previously, when ACT risk assessment and management framework wasn't released prior to 2022, we were using DVSAT. Since ACT RAMP was released, we tried and blended in both of DVSAT and the ACT RAMs. And for our Steps Ahead program, which only started last year, we use MARM, which is a Victoria tool, and I'll kind of talk about it a little bit later on. After we have done the risk and other need assessment around their circumstances, so we go through like a little bit of history of DV, what was the recent incident, what was the most worst incident, what is their risk looking like, are they high risk, elevated risk. After that risk assessment, we of course help them manage their safety. So, and this is called safety planning. And both the components of safety plannings, there is a bit of preventive aspects of safety plannings, preventive safety planning, and also incident safety planning after the violence has happened, how families can make themselves safe. We provide information and advice. Actually, we help them in getting FEO if that is required. We help them in planning for their exit if that's what they choose to do. So we kind of help them a safe period to exit. We help them exit with finding exit option like housing support. As part of the support, if our service user want, we can also provide them a little bit of domestic violence education. Again, here I would like to say that this is not the counseling. Our service does not provide counseling, but as a DV specialist, we can kind of unpack the violence. We can help our service users see how accountability lies with perpetrator, how perpetrator are using strategies and tactics to use coercive control or manipulate the situation and use various types of violence like financial abuse, emotional abuse. So that's why we call it domestic violence education. It's not counseling, but of course we provide them emotional support. And as we provide a non-judgmental listening ear, everyone, it's widely accepted that it's a first step of therapeutic support. When someone get listened, the recovery from trauma starts from there. Then, of course, as a part of a wraparound case management, we will connect them to other services. So whatever we don't cannot provide, we will of course connect our service user to other agencies for legal support, for financial support, for health support, and for counseling support. And so these are the range of the support, and the first three support that I just discussed: risk assessment, safety planning, information, and advice. These three options are kind of like default or the minimum support that we provide, and this can be provided in our one-off or interim support. So we have three categories so that we can provide support to more and more service user. Our services actually getting more and more sort of sought after, and we the incoming referral are increasing every month. Last month we received highest ever, which were 46 new incoming referral. which is a very huge number of referral for a very small service like us. So we have categorized support. So one-off or interim support we is kind of like one or two appointment can be provided within span of under 4 weeks, and it can suit for people who only need risk assessment, safety planning, and some information, advice, and guidance on what should they be doing, and what are their options. So with minimal guidance, they are able to manage their situations. And so usually these are the clients who have protective factors. For example, they have their own support network, they have stable housing, or they have already a house that they can relocate to, and they have employment. And also actually client who have case management from other agencies, and they are only needing support in risk assessment and safety planning. What that means is that other agencies who are providing case management but would like an additional support in risk assessment and safety planning for the clients they are supporting, they can actually also touch base with us and say, hey, can we get a coordinated one-off support? And we will be very happy to come in to your place, to your meetings, and provide that support while along with you, we can do the risk assessment and safety planning. And then short-term support, of course, when the support cannot be done within 4 weeks, it needs a little bit more time. Protective factors are there, and or someone is ready to exit, they have sort of organized most of the things, and they need a little bit of hand holding during that period. Or someone who is in stages of applying FVU, and there are some direction hearing and the further hearings, and they want some hand holding during that period, so that's short term support. While long term support is the support when there are more barriers. So, service user who have vulnerabilities like financial hardship, lack of housing option, they may be single parent, there are alcohol, drug issues involved in their situation, mental health concerns involved in their situation, or have a high ongoing, high risk perpetrator, or they are planning an exit and require a bit of time. So that's a long term support. So what we do is our case managers, they would have a caseload of long term ongoing management slots, but they would also have few slots for one off or short term support, because that's a fast moving. So often we have long wait lists for long term support, but actually one off support or short term support can be provided much faster. And we let service user know that we can give you a little bit one off advice now, but if you do need long term support, we'll have to put you on wait list. If this is okay, then we take that part. So we provide one off support, but we put them on a wait list for long term support. And as I said, we, depending on their situation and risk, when we categorize high risk, elevated risk, and depending on where they are in their experience of violence, these are the types of safety plans we do within our service. So basically, what you see, these are not like templates, but these are like touch points which also remind us that there is a need for safety planning in this situation. So, for example, if they are living with a person using violence, they are still in the relationship, we manage their safety concern, we let them know the limitation of what can happen, and we also plan for an incident, that if incident happen, this is your emergency plan, and these are the things you can do to kind of reduce or limit your exposure to violence, and this is how you can protect your children. So that's the safety plan. Then we do safety planning when they are planning to leave the person using violence. And then when they are relocating, so when the time to leaving is near, then we do the safety planning again. So this is our touch point again, that we need to have more safety planning because the relocation is near. And you would all have heard that when people are leaving, that is a high risk period anyway. So we really have to monitor the risk, because after leaving, we don't know how perpetrator may react. So that's why it is considered as a high risk period. So we, of course, have additional safety planning done during that period. Then we help people to manage safety concern post separation along with safety upgrades. And we also help families post separation when there is shared parenting, helping them safety planning, so that they can have a safe post separation shared parenting. We help them manage their safety through legal process, which is through FVO and court proceeding, like breaching FVOs and all. And when the support period comes to an end, this is the last touch point for safety planning, which is an exit safety planning, which means the service user know that these are the steps, these are the safety plan that I have to keep using, because experience of violence post separation sometime could be a very very long process, and especially if there is a shared parenting. What we do is that we give them all the safety planning, all the steps that they need to take, but also how to reconnect to the service if the new safety concern arise. uh, okay. So now that was about our domestic violence support service. As I said, this is mainly for women and children. It's not that we don't support children through our domestic violence support service. It's just that we do not engage directly with children. So we don't talk to children or we don't speak to children under this service, but we do discuss with the non-offending parent, our service user, about the safety concerns they have for their children, and we manage it through them. But since last year, we have this new programs called Steps Ahead program, where we have two domestic and family violence youth and children worker, um, Chloe and Patricia, and through these two extra position, we provide direct support and engagement to young people 0 to 17 years old. So basically, the goals or the outcomes that we were expecting through this specialized domestic and family violence young person program was that there is an increased capacity of family to access and engage with support services when safety concern arise in short term. So, and they have improved, and especially young people have improved understanding of what is safe behaviors, what is unsafe behavior, and how they can regulate their emotions when they are being presented with unsafe behaviors, and how they can respond. So as like the young person after using this program knows how to respond or seek support when they themselves or someone they know is experiencing or witnessing domestic and family violence, and also that primary caregivers have access to support for their own well-being, in turn supporting them to nurture and keeping child safe. And of course, in medium to long term, what we are hoping that there'll be reduced safety concern and would be managed with efficiency by this family. Children and young people will report improved safety, well-being, and emotional regulation. There'll be strengthened relationships and protective factors within families, because young people are not responsible to manage their safety on their own. They really need a support network. They really need safe adults around them collaborating. So they need strong family relationship where their safety is taken care of. And so we really do work in sort of strengthening family relationship. We are also hoping increase collaboration among services that are supporting children, and children and young people recover from trauma and participate fully and safely in the community and in their educational setting. So this is how it looks. This is what we offer within the program. We offer individualized support to young people. We do not provide counseling, but we connect them to other recovery program. We give safety skills, emotional regulation, and family engagement. And I'll go through this a little bit more in detail. It's a outreach based program providing safe space for children and young people. So for referral, it's referral pathways, families themselves. So the uh, non-offending parent can themselves refer to this service by contacting us. So it is done by consent of one non-offending parent. We don't need consent for both the parents, given that it's not a therapeutic program. It's a direct and practical support provided to the young person. A young person can be referred by other agency with consent of non-offending parent. Then young person 14 years or older actually can also access service without consent of any parent, but it would be only for short-term advice and support. And especially because we had to keep this component, because we do have in our Mura Lanyan Youth Center, there are young people who are dropping in, and if they want to access any information, advice, or a brief support in navigating their situation, unpacking that what they should be doing, if they are hesitant to get consent of any of their parent, we can at least provide a short support. And that support can also be requested for by well-being office, so well-being team in the school or colleges if the young people are 14-year or older. And we do have flyers available. I'll be happy to send out. So we do have one flyer targeted at parents. So we have that's a parent flyer, and one flyer sort of is for young person 14 years and older. And these flyers can be kept in your workplaces where you are supporting young person, so that young person can look at it, and they can connect to the service. Aside from that, the normal routine referrals that are coming to our YWCA Domestic Violence Support Service on our own, actually, in the screening stage for that referral, even though steps ahead referral was not requested, given that there are young people in the family, and they are if our screening process shows that they would be suited for steps ahead program, we may consider them for steps ahead program straight away, even though the referral clearly didn't mention that we are requesting support for young people. But of course, we will talk with the parent, and if they are happy, because there may be a difference in wait period, so whichever service the wait period would be lower on that day, we can steps ahead can be accessed straight away. Referring to program is easy. Just email us. We have provided our respect at YWCA Canberra email, or give us a call to discuss about your referral. So this is how the steps ahead program could look like for you, young people or families. And the first is screening. So we conduct a process of screening and suitability of the assessment. And this screening is done mainly either with the referring agency themselves or with the parent who is making this referral. um, we do this screening with before we can begin engagement with child or young person, because this helps us to ensure that the program is safe, appropriate, and aligned with the child's need. So we don't say that if families are in crisis or in safety crisis, we will exclude them. So crisis is not the exclusion factor, but the readiness of the young person, because we did had few cases where young persons mental health and circumstances were not at the right place. They were self-harming. So the parent themselves were disclosing that the child is disclosing self-harming. And so then we had to say that, because if we take on for a practical support and we are not even counselor, and we talk about violence, safety, that may not be the sort of right time for the support to begin. So, and also this also help us to see what is the young person need. And so that is the only reason we may exclude, because the therapeutic intervention may be more needed rather than the practical support to the young person, because in the end this is a practical support in skill building for safety for the young person. If the step ahead is not suitable, we can kind of help the parent to identify some other suitable service. Then the service is child inclusive, provide individualized support. Children and young people are recognized as individual in their own right, with their own experiences of violence, with their own different exposure to the violence than their parent, and having their own needs in the safety management. And we provide individualized, flexible support that moves at the pace of the young person. And support is outreach based, meaning session occur in safe community location. Mostly it could occur in school. Yeah. Then the support is practical, activity based. So I will repeat that it's not a therapeutic or counseling service, but it's a practical, and we use various art, craft, games, and activities to kind of discuss um, uh, topics like building safety skills, learning emotional regulation strategy, exploring healthy relationship, connecting with age appropriate services. And but if counseling is required, we can of course connect the service users with external counseling services. Then we help young people to discuss safety and also emotional regulation skills with as part of the program. So children learn to identify safe and unsafe behaviors. So there are behaviors that they experience that they can clearly identify as unsafe, but then sometimes kids are confused, so they can't sort of place that behavior, so they are confused, don't know what it is. And then there are good behaviors, so they help to identify all those behavior, and we kind of provide them steps to practical steps and strategies to how to respond when that behavior is presenting. We use zones of regulation framework to help children understand and manage emotions. We provide trauma aware domestic and family violence specialist support. Again, even in this program, there is a risk assessment of the family, and we try and look at the impact of violence on the children and young people. We help and support them to talk about their experience without judgment, but at a level that feels safe for them. Then, of course, we kind of encourage family engagement and strengthening relationship, because it is very, very important for young person to collaborate with a safe adult around them, which is not us, which is not the steps ahead person. They need collaboration so that they can strengthen the relationship and support healing. Parents are kept informed about the general focus of the sessions only, but details aren't shared with parents of what disclosure young person made. So the confidentiality of what young person is sharing is maintained. But of course, even young person are informed about the mandatory reporting protocols that we may have. But as far as law allows, the confidentiality of what young person is sharing is maintained. Then, of course, connection to other services, other counseling and DIS support, school-based support, other community program, other youth and well-being services, we can connect young people to that. So the goal is to build wraparound network that supports long-term recovery, even though we may kind of close the support. Support is flexible. We are saying it's up to 6 months, but upon the need, it can extend more than that. So we have seen that if the separation from the violence, so If the family has recently separated from the violence, the support may be required longer. But if the separation happened a while ago and it's only post-separation shared parenting safety concern, we may perhaps kind of close the support in 6 months. And as this program is new, we have only closed only couple of families. A few support were closed due to non-engagement, but full closure of the support has only happened with couple of families till now, and we are flexible about that. We have a commitment to child safety. The program follows National Child Safe Principle. Children's safety, dignity, and well-being are the center of all the decisions that we are making. So, as I said, even the main goal of steps ahead is also to have a risk assessment and safety planning done for young people as victim and survivor in their own right. So when we started this program late last year, we had to establish how will we do this risk assessment, and what are the tools that are available for us to do that risk assessment. We at that stage found MARM, that is multi-agency risk management of Victoria State, to be really kind of the most child inclusive tool at that time, because you could assess the risk for each child separately. So the risk assessment tool that we were using, the ACT, RAMP, and DVSAT, it only assesses through 2 3 question about whether children were exposed to violence or not, but it does not discuss the details of the violence that the kids may have experienced, children may have experienced. So we use MARM tool with parent prior beginning support. And so this MARM tool has question relating to the exposure of child in sort of different ways, whether where they participated in the violence that happened in the home. Participated is just a kind of soft way of asking whether the violence was directed to them, or did were they just exposed, so did they just witness the violence, were they removed for parental care against their will at any stage, did young people had to call for emergency assistance or police themselves, did they intervened in any incident of physical violence happening to their parent, were they asked to monitor by other parent to the non-offending parent, where are their passport, and did they witness one of the parent being in sort of taken into custody by police. All those questions are asked to assess what is the level of exposure of violence by young person. And then we also do assessment of what are the current protections in place, which is, are there any FEOs which are present, are young people listed in that protection order, because often there are protection order, but young people are not kept in that protection order. And actually we have seen that even in courts, magistrate court, when there are children, and if the parent don't kind of clearly say this is the violence that was directed at the young person, often there is kind of like a culture of not keeping young people person in the FEO. So we kind of assess whether there is an FEO, is there a shared parenting plan, is there a final parenting order, or there is an interim entry, and we make an assessment on what does it look like for the young person. Then, as program says, 0 to 17-year-old a young person, but practically for young people 4 and under, the safety management is mainly through the non-offending parent. So we may discuss, we may notice the impact of violence, we may educate the non-offending parent that even young infants may be impacted, even though you may believe they are too young to understand what's going through that they don't understand, but they may be impacted. So the safety planning for 4 years and under is only done through parent, which means that if a family just have a 4 year or under and do not have older sibling, then that parent can just remain in our domestic violence support service, may not need to go to steps ahead program. But if there are siblings who are older and one of the sibling is 4 and under, then that family can sit with steps ahead program where older siblings engage with our children and youth worker directly, while for under 4 year, the safety management is done through parents. So this is a little bit of kind of a difference. So if a family is 4 year and under, they would perhaps be just managed by our DV service. Then the parent engagement doesn't end uh, here. We have ongoing engagement with parent in managing safety concern of 5 years or older, where we are interacting with the young person ourselves. And engagement with the young person, how does it look? Well, we with young person also we use MARM tools. So MARM tool also allows, there are specific questions which you can ask young person in their age appropriate way themselves. So we gain the understanding. So we may use that tool, but we have developed our own questions around those tools, or more questions where we try and understand what has happened, how did it look like for them, what were their feelings, and how has it impacted them. There is also an MIRM safety tool for young person which we are using. So we have started using with couple of families. For a couple of families, we kind of used other kind of guidelines that are available. Basically, we also then move on to understanding who are the safe people around them, and what is their relationship looking like. We also do activities to list safe and unsafe behavior, and what are the body cues and what are the boundaries that they have maintained or not maintained, and then kind of depending on that to help them do safety planning. And again, I would say in our program, we always let young person know that violence wasn't their fault, and to be safe isn't their responsibility. We are only giving them small option that if that behavior present, this is what they could have done. Then we explore their worries, safety and coping strategy, and kind of providing them empowerment of choice, that you have a choice to share as much as you want, or not share as much as not share. And so you have a choice and empowerment, and we kind of have a little bit of goals where would they like to, what they would like to gain from this program. And just to give you like a small glimpse of safety planning, we do it in a way that is catchy. And so MARM suggests an acronym called SAFE, SAFE, which is S is for stay out of the fight, A is for ask for help, F is to find an adult who will listen, and E is everyone knows that it's not your fault. So here's how we are going with time. I think we are doing good with time. So he's just like a case study to demonstrate how it looks like in the service, and also I'll try and kind of show you some barriers that may exist while we are supporting young people. So Henry and Ada names have been changed. Our primary school aged siblings, 10 years and 7 years, and they are currently engaged with our service since November 2025. And for support relating to their experience of domestic and family violence. And these both the children were exposed to severe coercive control, emotional and along with physical harm, more towards their mother, but some physical harm coming their way, and very inconsistent parenting from their father, use of alcohol, and other kind of verbal abuse and aggression towards their mother. And this family, just in October 2025, their mother separated, fled the family home due to escalating safety concerns. When they were in the program, they were adjusting to significant changes in routine, stability, and family dynamics while navigating ongoing family violence order proceeding and now family law proceedings. So actually, when we started the support, technically they were in a very unstable and crisis stages, but our program did not excluded them because of that crisis, because that was the time when they needed some strategies and practical support the most. And so recently, just actually late May, mediation has initiated series of supervised contact with father. So since no, October, the contact with father had stopped, and it has been reinstated through a supervised visit just in May, and in June they have and now they have had, I think, two supervised contact visit with their father, and they had both both Henry and Ada had, support from our children worker on how will they manage this, and what are the strategies they will be using. So a little bit more details. Actually, their mother was engaged with YWCA DV service since August 2023, and we were aware of the high risk. It was visible to the surface, and the mother was kind of engaging and disengaging with the services. And so this was one barrier, like we could see that the kids are being exposed. We were aware that CYF had been notified, there had been police attendant, but the mother was really, really worried about taking the step because, of course, uh, Mary felt that if she does leave, the things will get worse. And she was very protective of children. So she said, I never, never, ever leave kids, even for a minute, alone with the father. But that in practical, that does not mean that the kids weren't witnessing the violence. So she was very protective, but had high anxiety about leaving because how would it look like? Even in uh, October, when Mary left, she chose not to take FU. We had made all plans for Mary to take FU the minute she leaves. We had organized everything. Mary even turned up at the court, but then she just felt overwhelmed and did not take FU. She said, I would manage it myself, uh, because when the FU will be served, there will be a strong retaliation. So, but actually, she did go and apply for FU later on, and actually, children were the main consideration because what happened is there were signal from her ex that he may remove children from school, and we had already advised that okay, the only drawback of not having an FEO would be that the kids would be can be removed by father from school, and eventually that's what led her to apply for FEO, and they have a FEO now, interim FEO, still going, not final FEO, and kids are on that FEO. So when uh, Henry and Ada accessed our service, they were very presenting heightened emotional distress surrounding the contact with their father, including anger, fear, confusion, and anxiety. And they were very resistant. In fact, they had said, no, 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 they don't want to see that. When they were exposed, they were living together. They would often hide under bed when the dad would be around. So they were really very sort of resistant in meeting with dad, and they were having difficulty expressing emotions safely. They were often minimizing or deflecting when speaking with their mother. They were showing psychological sign of dysregulation before the contact, including tense muscle, fast heartbeat, difficulty in sleeping, and fidgeting. They have limited understanding of safe versus unsafe behavior due to past exposure to harmful dynamics, and they had a need for structured emotional regulation strategies before, during, and after the contact. So this is when we are contacting them. So and also when the father would be contacting, because the mediation was already going on. They were immediately when the Mary left, actually phone calls were still happening because Mary was trying to sort of manage this as best. They were trying to negotiate a parenting plan, but phone calls and the video calls were happening, and so both Henry and Ada were very kind of needing strategies before, during, and after contact with their dad. So this is what our support within YWCA looked like. So we children worker help them to identify and name emotions: tired, strong, angry, confused. We also help them to map mixed emotions before, during, and after visits. So after their first visit, they were confused because they were angry and sort of like they weren't happy uh, about having to see dad, but because it was supervised and of course it was happening in time zone, and so they were happy to be there at time zone doing activities and fun, but so this was very confusing for them. um, we did strength-based reflection, identifying feelings of pride, bravery, and strength, and we also had to do keep engaging with mother, especially helping her to have safety measure and also understand their children emotional responses, that this is normal given what they have gone through. And I already said that because Mary was not ready to get FEO, and also there was kind of not strong boundaries. So Mary was letting dad, still engaging in dad, so that she does not kind of um, trigger him. She was responding, letting them call every day. Uh, dad was asking for photos, pictures, this and that, and so she was still engaging and was not getting an FEO. Then came a point where she got messages where dad was getting upset about not having in-person contact, and when he expressed he might go and see them at school, that's when eventually uh, Mary had to take a decision to get an FEO. So the children's school was also uh, engaged in the support, and we are exploring further pathways, especially kayaks intensive for counseling, for trauma-informed therapeutic counseling and support. Uh, so they have really, this is one case study, and they were one of our first few families that we supported, and they have really demonstrated significant growth. Means though there were lots of up and down, Mary going through huge anxiety, and we were also like navigating with Mary how Mary is kind of passing down her anxiety to Henry and Ada. Like, I know her anxiety comes from the space of being unsafe, but If she does not maintain boundaries, that gets passed on to Henry and Ada, which is not healthy for Henry and Ada. So despite those up and down, the family has really kind of shown growth, and this is what it looks like. Naming and expressing emotions, they can recognize safe and unsafe behavior, they are better regulated, they are reporting more kind of more experiencing more stability around the contact with dad, and they have an increased sense of agency, which is both children understand that they can choose what they share and they are not in trouble for their feelings, and they are beginning to understand the purpose and role of safety strategies that they are learning. And mother is also reporting enhanced confidence in her parenting abilities to maintain boundaries. Yeah. And there are other families, so the young people who have expressed similar situation, for example, there was a family where the violence was coming from the mother's current partner, their step, they 11-year-old young person reported to us that when stepdad was at home, we would get in trouble for being upset. So I used to pretend to be fine, but I'm getting much better. Uh, and sometimes they tell, this is how they tell, some things feel okay when I'm with dad, but some things don't feel right in my body. So these are the way kids are expressing. Uh, so that was pretty much my presentation. And I'm happy to talk a bit more. There are more things that, of course, we can unpack. And as I said, I would provide details about general inquiries and referrals. This is our email, respect@ywcacanberra.org.au. Our phone call, happy to have one phone call with you and discuss a referral, or if you have a family. So now we can have questions and reflections.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that presentation. I know that I certainly got a lot out of it. There are a few questions. Also, as mentioned, we'll send out the slides following the presentation as well as the recording. Yeah, so there's a few questions that have come through. If you also still have some questions, feel free to put them into the Q&A. So the first question is, children's records from the Steps Ahead program able to be subpoenaed as part of family court matter?
Yeah, they can be, because if the service is known, so that can be requested by any of the parent. Means we can retract bits and pieces of information. So that's also, we had to let non-offending parent know that the records can be subpoenaed. Uh, and yeah, and it can go any way, like, um, but it does not have that much credibility and weightage, because uh, also one thing was there that non-offending parent wanted us to provide letters of what children are disclosing so that they can use it as an evidence uh, in court. So we had to let the parents know that actually this is a practical support. We're not counselors or psychotherapists, so it may not have that much weight, and it can go either way. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So another question is it a closed program?
What what do you mean by a closed program?
If they could have some clarification, but I believe they potentially mean, does it run on such a schedule? Is it just based on
No,
individuals. Yeah.
yeah, it's an individualized program, so the support is available to uh, young people on one-to-one basis. So for a family, we may try and sit with siblings together, but after one or two assessment, we may separate them if they have separate needs or the age difference is more. It's best to separate them. So and the referral can come from anywhere. So sometimes I don't know whether this close program that there has to be a specific pathway. No, referrals can come from anywhere. Referral can come anytime. It will just depend a little bit on our capacity. So it's closed in the sense that whenever our capacity permits, so we do keep a wait list. And so if family is happy to go on wait list, as soon as a spot will become available, uh, the family will be taken. And so we are encouraging referrals so that we can have, we would like to keep a wait list of at least 5 families all the times, because our DV service, we really get referrals every day. We are never short of referrals. Um, but for children program, and we have to respond because in the DV service, maybe I think, yeah, this is one more point. For all the self referral in our DV service, we do provide one-off support. So we do not refuse one-off support. So if someone is calling for themselves about their DV situation, they may be having children. As I said, our first three minimum, which is risk assessment, safety planning, information, and advice. We can, and so it does not need to go on wait list. It will be provided then and there. But steps ahead program cannot be accessed just like that. So it's closed in that sense that you cannot just call in and say, hey, can I just have one-off support? Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's great. So, and currently, is there a wait list, and what sort of time is there on that, or do you just work with young
Uh,
people straight away?
Yeah, so currently, actually, we have a small wait list, but because there was a staff turnover, so Patricia has joined recently, a month ago only. So we are slowly increasing the caseload. So we have capacities, but that means that we are just slowly increasing. So we do
Yeah,
have,
great,
yeah.
perfect. So the program mentions providing individualized support for young people. I'm wondering whether there are specific supports available for young people living with additional learning needs to access the program, as trauma often impacts their ability to engage and understand. For example, can young people with learning barriers such as ASD access tailored supports within the program?
So, uh, Miss, we will definitely support young person with learning barriers in helping them understand what's safe and unsafe. But other type of support, we have to connect them with other agencies. But yes, as for depending on that particular young person, and this is what I meant by assessing, because our child and youth workers, they do have a psychology degree, and they are specialized in domestic and family violence. We are not specialists in providing kind of therapeutic support for people with learning disability, but definitely with people with learning disability through different activities, because whatever their learning style is, uh, with different level of activities, we will help them understand safe and unsafe behavior and have a safety plan that they can manage depending on their abilities. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think that answers the question. Perfect. We just had one more question come through. You said that crisis is not an exclusionary factor for steps ahead. Does that include where there's been an assessment of high imminent risk?
I mean, even if there is a high imminent risk, we will be able to support the family because the family would maybe, if for high risks, the family may be supported both by DV service and child steps ahead. So risk is not an exclusionary factor. Crisis, for example, unstable housing, because few programs when there is no stable housing, if someone is family have left, they are couch surfing, they are still kind of stressed because of their housing, may not enroll, but we would enroll because even in this situation we can help, because that's why we are saying it's a practical support. And if a young person is happy to have that practical support, we will begin the support. There had been few cases where the parent were too keen on starting the support, but the young person themselves weren't keen. They just felt too overwhelmed, like there were other agencies involved. And so the young person themselves were really not keen on connecting to another program. So we had to drop that family. One more point that came to me, I think, which I might have missed in the presentation. I said we are using MARM tool since beginning of this service, but that tool will soon be changed to ACT ramp because actually ACT ramp have been revised, and now ACT ramp has taken over Victorian MARM. So all the questions related to young people are there. So soon new ACT ramp would be rolled out. There will be training available for information sharing entities in coming year. So our program will also then roll over to ACT ramp steps ahead because it is almost like MARM tool now. So that's a good news for us.
No, that's excellent. I was going to ask, in your case study, you mentioned that you were potentially working with a school, maybe other youth services, and I was going to ask, what's the most helpful thing that youth services, schools, youth workers can do to help in sort of situations, case studies like that to work with you?
Um, so just to clarify your question, how can school and other agencies help that family to access our support?
Yeah, access that support, and then as you're working with them, how like just working together, I suppose, is youth
I'm
workers within that school, people who in that young person's life, uh, wanting to help.
So there are two, three layers to this. Uh, so schools, because we've already started networking and engaging with CYF schools. So we recently had meeting with team leader of WINS, which is well-being in schools, where we explained our programs, kind of like a clarity about what this program is and what this program isn't. When agencies and social workers at school understand what this program is about, they can make appropriate referral after talking to the families. So we are also trying to kind of then send out our flyers and details. And for example, this session has helped us a bit so that people know exactly what this program. Once they know what the program, they can get in touch with us, whether with consent or without consent. Without consent, they can discuss without revealing the details of the family, identifying details, they can discuss. But then we connect. And about working together, what I meant was that few families are already receiving intense support. There is CYF involved. There are safety planning coordination meeting happening at school where we are also sitting in that coordination meeting. Because if we are supporting young person, if there is a coordination meeting happening in relation to, let's say, their learning needs, but as everything interact with each other, we are happy to come and sit in those other coordination meeting in relation to their other needs, which interacts with safety also. Was there more to it, Thomas?
No, I think that's perfect. Yeah, thank you. So no other questions have come through, but I think, as you've said, people can reach out if they have any questions or clarification on things. And as mentioned, we'll send out the slides and recording as well. Is there anything else you would like to add before we wrap up the session?
Yes, which is we are a new service, so we are also evolving a lot. We are also learning from each other. We are contacting agencies, but if we haven't contacted you and you think we should have contacted you, please contact us, because we are working very hard. We are working our own, referral pathways. What are the other services that young people can connect? What's available in ACT, or what's available in bordering regions? If you are happy to reach out and share your resources. So for example, we had a meeting with act for heartfelt program, act for kids. They kind of learned about our program, we learned about their program, they shared some resources with us. So we are building the program. We welcome you to get in touch. Just please email us on Respect. We would love to hear from you and kind of build more coordination and connection.